Well, for more on this, let's bring in Professor Andy Zine. You're also the author of a book on the U.S. Supreme Court. Thanks so much for coming in. What do you think will come out of this testimony today at the Senate?
It's difficult, but I was reading what Dr. Ford is going to read before the senators or the prosecutor get to ask questions. And it's striking how much he goes into details, high school, the all-girl high school, all boys, and how they met, etc. And how, after the shock, after the attack, she was unable to tell her parents because she felt so ashamed to have been alone in a house without parents and with lots of beer. So it really gives credibility to what everybody, all women, say, that those crimes get unreported. And so as she goes into those details, it's going to be very difficult for the Republican side to just brush away what she's saying. And to me, it's very revealing that the 11 members of the Republican, all males of the Judiciary Committee, decided they didn't want to do the dirty work and remind of 1991, Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill, and they've decided to hire a prosecutor, a female prosecutor, specialized in sex crimes. Now, to me, it's interesting also because this is not a trial. The role of the Senate is advice and consent. This is a fact-finding mission. And the president and the Republicans are saying there is the presumption of innocence. This is not what we are talking about. We are trying to determine whether he did some of those things, and if he did, whether he is a qualified person to sit for life on the Supreme Court, which is a totally different story. But as usual, everything gets mixed up in the politics of today.
Well, I guess that would be my next question is, so these allegations from Christine Blasey Ford were followed by two other allegations from two different women. Given that we're in this context of a Me Too movement really in the United States, do you think these allegations are enough on their own to just bring down this nomination, regardless of whether or not he did the things these women said?
Well, the judge, when he was on television, and he was interviewed again yesterday, apparently under oath, said there's a big difference between drinking a lot, and finally he has admitted that he's not exactly the coy boy and perfect little boy that he wanted to portray. There's a big difference between just drinking too much, and now he says, I feel bad about it, etc., and sexually aggressing a woman. But then again, because the position is so important, because, as you said, it's going to shift the balance of power on the court, many people, including the two women senators, Republican senators, and even I was discussing with somebody said Senator Flake is flaking. So we have two other men, Republicans, that are wondering whether it's a good idea to continue pushing as the leader, Matt Connell, wants to do, because he wants a vote tomorrow of the Judiciary Committee and during the weekend of the full Senate, so that dear Justice, maybe, or Judge Kavanaugh can sit on the Supreme Court Monday, which is the opening session of the court for the next term. I mean, all this gives a terrible picture. I mean, this is rushed. The way the Democrats are behaving is far from perfect, too. I mean, we have all those demonstrators. Ted Cruz, that I don't especially like, was harassed in the restaurant with his wife. So we have dirty tricks. We have a deterioration of civility. There's no longer any civility. And now it's just a fight. The Democrats don't want him. The Republicans want him. No rules are followed, and this is a little depressing.
Well, it certainly is. But I guess the question is how much would the Democrats argue that this is payback for what the Republicans did to them with Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland?
Oh, they're not going to say it, but it's very, very much at the back of their minds. And what they're thinking is that if they manage to get the majority in the midterms, maybe the court is going to be 4-4 for 2 years until the next presidential election, which is, again, not a good solution, because when the court is divided 4-4, it means it can take no decision, it can render no opinions, even in very serious circumstances, because in that case, it's the lower court decision that continues to prevail, because nothing happens at the level of the Supreme Court. So we have a dysfunctional Congress. I guess we can say we already have a dysfunctional White House, and we would have a not functioning Supreme Court. So welcome to America.
Andy Zine, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us here on France 24. Thank you very much.